Good morning and welcome to Hope, Faith, and Joy Daily Devotion with me, Pastor Amanda. Right now, I'm pre-recording my daily devotions so that I can take a little time and retreat and with my family. And so I hope you still continue to join me this week. And as we dive into Mark even deeper and learning what God and Jesus are teaching us. And I just hope that you can still find some value in these daily devotions. So today we are going to look at chapter 11. And we find that it begins with Jesus entering into Jerusalem with his big old parade and triumphal entrance, is what it says that it is. And so he tells his disciples to go ahead and prepare a place for him. Now, if we think back, remember John came to prepare the way for Jesus to go into ministry. And in a sense now, the disciples are, in a sense, preparing for his death. They're making this entryway. But when Jesus enters in, the people are all excited. They think that he is the Messiah that they have put expectations on of what it's going to look like. And so they're all excited, and yet they're going to be saying, Hosanna, Hosanna. And by the end of the week, they're going to say, crucify, crucify. And so we see this kind of where it's just a lot of both and. Experiences. He's experiencing the highs and the lows right here in this last week. And so now, though, he has entered Jerusalem and he's going to do some of his biggest teaching lessons. Right now, he's now like, I'm in my last week. I've got to get it all out. And what they find, now Jesus will kind of go in and out of Jerusalem, but this is the marking that he's headed towards the cross. And there's this interesting little thing that happens that as he is going into Jerusalem, he sees a fig tree and he wants to eat something. And this is what it says. When he came to it, he found nothing but leaves, for it was not the season for figs. And he said to it, may no one ever eat fruit from you again. And then his disciples here heard this. So it's this interesting thing that here this tree is not ready to produce, but it's like it's too late. It's too late. Jesus is already going to pass by. The end is here, and since it hasn't produced any fruit, it's kind of too late for this poor little fig tree. We can apply that to ourselves in some ways, but we'll come back to this fig tree. So then we find that Jesus goes into the temple, and it's called the temple cleansing. And what we find is that there's all these money changers there, people who are preventing others from being able to experience God in the temple. The money changers, this is not like Girl Scouts selling cookies or Boy Scouts selling popcorn at church. So some people will use that, oh, that's money changing. And no, what was happening is that these money changers were creating taxes upon the animals and the grains that were needed to do sacrifices so that a person could be forgiven of their sins, so that they could be in a good relationship with God. And they were overpricing, overcharging. They were trying to make money off of people who were just simply trying to go and relate to God. And so he gets angry at them. Now, if the Girl Scout stops you at the front door of the church and says you can't enter without buying cookies, absolutely, money changer right there. But what it's saying here is that we cannot be making a profit off of trying to have people who are just trying to have a relationship with God. And this includes thinking about the tithe. Personally, to me, the tithe is something that happens between you and God, and the church can't make you. do it. The church should not like say, I need to see your pay stub. I'm taking 10%. You know, that's kind of a hindrance. But a tithe is supposed to be something that's given with a grateful, joyful heart. And it's something you do because you're trusting God, not because the church is taking it from you. So it's a kind of a easy slope to slide down. But we recognize here that it upsets Jesus, that money becomes this stumbling block for people's relationship with God. So then we have what's called the lesson of the fig tree that comes next. And so the disciples are astonished that this little tree is now withered up and has died. And Jesus answers them, verse 22, have faith in God. Truly I tell you, if you say to this mountain, be taken up and thrown into the sea, and if you do not doubt in your heart, but believe that what you say will come to pass, it will be done for you. So I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. And whenever you stand praying, forgive if you have anything against anyone, so that your Father in heaven may also forgive you your trespasses. Now this is tricky, and I'll be honest, I'm not sure I fully comprehend it. I'm still blind in some ways. But what I kind of gather from this right now, today, from my point of view and perspective, is that we have to be ready with our full heart to offer to God what we need to. I think sometimes I pray and I'm not sure God's going to follow through. And it's not so much that poor fig tree, it was like, just wasn't ready to do what it needed to do. It wasn't ready to produce, and that's not enough. Like, you have to be ready to produce the characteristics of what it means to be a follower of Jesus. And one of that is believing, praying, and forgiving. And if I focus on that forgiving for just a moment, it almost is terrifying to think, if I haven't forgiven someone, then the potential that I'm this fig tree that's useless is kind of scary. And so I think it's important for us all to recognize, like, are we living into the fullness of our discipleship, or are we just withering away like this poor little fig tree? Ooh, something to think about. And so then the priests and everything are still questioning Jesus's authority. And of course, when they question his authority, he just shoots back with another question. And what he asks about John the Baptist. He says, did the baptism of John come from heaven, or was it of human origins? What is your answer? And it was really interesting is that the Pharisees and scribes, they're like, well, if we say he's from heaven, the baptism came from heaven, people are going to ask us why we didn't believe him. And then if we say that it was of human origin, the people are going to say, but we think he's a prophet. We think he was right. And so what do you say to that? And so they don't want to get trapped. So what is their answer? Silence. When they feel stuck, they decide to just not say anything. And Jesus kind of goes, well, then I'm not telling you where my authority comes from. If you're unwilling to engage in this conversation, then you know what? You don't deserve to know. Jesus is harsh. I kind of like him. And so, but he just recognizes that when we get hardness of heart, we're unwilling to engage in conversation that could transform the heart. And Jesus is all about transforming hearts. And so if you're unwilling to engage the conversation, Jesus is also not going to waste his time. I'll just let you sit on that one today. And so I appreciate you. sharing this moment with me. And I look forward to joining you tomorrow with Hope, Faith, and Joy Daily Devotion. So have a wonderful day.